Hey, what's up guys? Here to talk to y'all about UFC 261, which is going to feature 3 title fights, and it's going to be headlined by the rematch between Kamaru Usman versus Jorge Masvidal for the welterweight title of the world. And it's also going to feature fans in person since it's going to be taking place in Jacksonville, Florida. But before we get into these fights, there's a chance for you to win a $25 Amazon gift card. All you have to do is share this video. And to double your chances, all you have to do is follow my Twitter page at KombatKontact. I just made the page a few days ago, and tweet me your favorite Mortal Kombat character. That will double your chances for your chance to win $25 in Amazon gift card money. So getting into this match. So this is a rematch that I hold a little near and dear to my heart because this is the first match I ever did a video over, ever did a review or a breakdown over. And yeah, so the first match happened back in July, and I remember that I wanted to talk to somebody about this, but I couldn't talk to anybody about this because I was in quarantine, and tweeting and social media just wasn't cutting it. So I got a camera and did this. Anyways, some other fights happening on this card are Uriah Hall versus Chris Weidman, 2 of Anderson Silva's notable opponents. The other 2 title fights that are going to be happening on this card are going to be between Valentina Shevchenko and Jessica Andrade for the women's flyweight title, and Rose Namajunas versus Weili Zhang for the women's strawweight championship. So a quick recap on the main event. This fight originally took place in July of 2020 in the height of the COVID pandemic. So originally, Kamaru Usman was set to fight his teammate Gilbert Burns, but Gilbert Burns pulled out 6 days prior due to coming down with COVID-19. 6 days before one of the most stacked cards the UFC has ever put together, Jorge Masvidal steps in to take Gilbert Burns' spot. And it seemed like the perfect storm. Kamaru Usman and Jorge Masvidal have been going back and forth with each other. Jorge Masvidal has been working his way back since his resurrection up to the title shot again. Kamaru Usman was eager to defend his title. We all knew that even though Kamaru Usman put on a tremendous display, all eyes were on Jorge Masvidal. Was he going to make the weight, which he did? Was he going to be able to last in there? He lasted all 5 rounds. Was he going to be able to hold his own? He did to a certain extent. So I spoke on this on that last video that Jorge Masvidal had everything to gain from just taking the fight. I mean, as long as he didn't get obliterated, he just had to make it competitive, and he did that. And I mean, he took the L, easier said than done, but all eyes were on him as he took the L that night. From the first time that these two fought, these two have definitely taken different paths. Masvidal, he started out 2019, went through 2020, into 2021, pretty hyped. I think fans got a little frustrated with him as 2020 wrapped up. In my personal opinion, Jorge Masvidal's stock has plummeted, has taken a few hits since his upcoming fan favorite rise to the BMF. You know, he was kind of one of those folks who everybody wanted to see. He was becoming notarized. He's probably still one of the top 5 biggest stars in the UFC, if I had to say. A lot of people know his name, especially after the flying knee to Ben Askren's face. But as of lately, he's become a little cringy. You know, he was once the people's champ. Now he's kind of frustrating a lot of fans with his inactivity. Personally, it's frustrating to see Masvidal pass up on so many fights because he himself has said that he doesn't have much time left in this game. So the longer that he waits on the shelf, the longer that he doesn't fight, we are missing out on those moments and excitement that we get whenever he does fight. So I know that may sound a little selfish, but if you want to consider yourself a bad motherfucker and that you fight anyone, anywhere, anytime, it's kind of hard whenever you haven't fought in so long. So from back when Jorge Masvidal knocked out Darren Till to now, it's crazy to see how fast, you know, this game and the fans will switch on you, I guess. But in Masvidal's defense, it's hard to risk that golden ticket title shot on a fight just to stay active. We saw how detrimental it was to Tony Ferguson to fight Justin Gaethje after Khabib had to pull out due to COVID-19 reasons as well. So anyways, last time Jorge Masvidal fought was in July of 2020 against Kamaru Usman the first time. On the other hand, Kamaru Usman stayed busy whenever he gave Gilbert Burns his rightfully earned title shot in February, and Usman went out there, took on his former teammate, and closed the books on him. And aside from sharpening his own skills, Kamaru Usman has stayed busy with Justin Gaethje, as well as cornering Francis Ngannou in his last fight against Stipe for the heavyweight title. And so I'm not gonna lie, I, like most, wrote Kamaru Usman off as a pressure, grappling, control fighter. And you know, the type of fight not many people want to see. It's not fast-paced, it's not the type of fight that's going to bring constant knockout action. But as of lately, we could definitely see that Kamaru Usman has improved in his striking, and although it may not be his strength, it is definitely something not to take lightly. And I mean, just look at this dude. I mean, he's lanky, but he's built. I mean, it looks like his strength doesn't go away with distance, so that if he hits you from here or from here, it's going to hurt regardless. I mean, like, he looks like he could be the next Black Panther. I mean, RIP Chadwick Boseman, but this man is just built different, literally. So it's no secret, Usman's strengths are in his ability to control people, take them down, and slowly wither them away. He's done it time and time again, and each one of his opponents is broken to that point. And like I said, although his striking isn't perfect, to say that it's one of his weaknesses is almost disrespectful. I mean, look at this dude's jab. When he jabs people, it's not one of those jabs that's traditional, like, it manages time and distance. It's one of those jabs that's going to pop. It's going to pop you. If it catches you off balance, it's going to put you down. And he doesn't just use his jab to start combos. He uses it to finish fights. We saw him do it to Colby Covington. We saw him do it to Gilbert Burns. It's a deadly jab. And if you get caught with it so many times, it's going to do its damage. It's going to make you change the way you fight. It may be overlooked when people go in to fight Kamaru Usman. They may have thought in the past that this guy's just going to try to take him down, grapple him up, put pressure on him against the cage. But now his opponents are looking like they went jousting, and Usman was the only one that knew about it. Now, in all reality, will Usman outstrike Masvidal? Probably not. But is it enough to hold his own and to gain the respect of Masvidal is going to be the real question that we have to get answered. And honestly, the first time these two met, I think he did a fairly well job at that. Although Usman is a Rubik's Cube of a fight, we did see Gilbert Burns have some success by keeping him off balance and striking quick and striking fast. He even managed to rock Usman early in round one. But if you look at what Usman did, immediately after he got rocked, he goes back to his jab, keeping distance, maintaining his distance. And that just goes to show that Usman stays composed. Most grapplers, even strikers, whenever they get rocked like that, they'll immediately shoot for a takedown, a bad takedown at that, and end up in an even worse spot. Usman is very good at staying composed. He doesn't get over emotional, he doesn't get too crazy, he doesn't get too wild. Although Kamaru Usman is still good with his striking, he can still be caught. And that being said, not many are better at catching people than Jorge Masvidal. So if you haven't seen any of Jorge Masvidal's fights, it's easy to tell that he is a master of explosion. It doesn't take much for him to get a combo going, to get distance, and to manage it so that he can move forward and catch his opponents off guard. One of the best things about Jorge Masvidal and what makes him so good is that he knows exactly when to engage his opponents. Not only just when, but how. Not only is he good with the distance, but he's also good with the angles. He knows where to mix up his combos so that they land most effectively. And once he gets going, it's hard to throw him off his game. And once he's on his game, all those combos are coming with fight-ending intentions. So just like Usman in his striking, Masvidal does have enough experience to hold his own in the grappling game. But going against someone like Kamaru Usman, that takedown defense and the ability to get back up after you've been taken down is definitely going to be tested. And how much energy you're using each time you have to stuff a takedown or get back up is definitely going to be something that Jorge Masvidal had trouble with in the first fight, and is going to be something he's going to have to manage this time around. If you want to try this out yourself, go ask somebody that you know, hopefully someone that you know, just to lay on top of you, just dead weight, and try to get them up off of you. Just try to stand back up with them just dead weight. And now imagine elbows and punches being thrown at you. It is something that is definitely extremely hard to do if you don't know how to do it and the technique to use. So a few of the things that Masvidal also does very well is pouring it onto his opponents. He knows whenever he needs to land a combo and get out, and knows whenever he can stay in there and do more damage afterwards and put his opponents in worse positions where they forget where they're at. So two of his most common attacks that he does to catch his opponents off guard are his stutter step, where he takes a stutter step, rushes them. Another thing that he does is that after he's done with his attack from the switch stance, is that he'll throw a kick so that he can go back to his original stance. Or if his opponent sees a stutter step coming and they get out of the way, he'll throw a kick anyway to see if it get any reaction out of them and leave them vulnerable to another attack up top. So a few problems that Masvidal had in the first fight were obviously his conditioning being tested. So Masvidal, like I said, is very explosive, but with 6 days of camp, there's only so many rounds in the chamber. That being said, Masvidal only had a certain amount of times he could use an outburst or a lot of energy to attack Usman. Hopefully with a full camp, he'll have more in the tank to test Usman's willingness to engage. Also, his kicks. His kicks are usually to the mid-low section of the body. Occasionally, he'll throw a high kick up there just to catch somebody off guard. But Kamaru was handling those kicks very well. He was checking them. Not many kicks got through without catching an elbow or a knee. Like I said, Masvidal finishes a lot of his combinations with a kick to the midsection. But in the first fight, Usman was actually able to catch one of those kicks, and it led to the first takedown of the fight. So this time around, I think we're going to see an improvement in Masvidal's speed and accuracy. In the last fight, he was overextending himself a lot and leaving himself vulnerable to a lot of takedowns. So this time, I'm going to see him to be a little bit more balanced, as well as being cautious of how far he's throwing his punches. Although he may really want to land it, is it really worth overextending yourself against a guy like Usman? So obviously in the last fight, the fatigue set in. We saw Masvidal become more and more desperate, just trying to win the fight. But he did in the fight standing up, and during that last exchange, he still seemed like he had a lot of fight left in him. So I'm hoping Masvidal shows up and improve physically and mentally. And with that being said, I feel like more of the pressure is riding on Masvidal this time. I mean, you can't go 0 for 2, only fight once a year, and still be considered a bad motherfucker, right? He held out for almost an entire year, punched his golden ticket, finally got his rematch with Usman, and if he doesn't win this fight, there's not much left for him to do. Maybe a rematch with Nate Diaz or a match with Colby Covington, but that's about it. Other than that, I'm not seeing many other options, and if this does happen to end in a loss for him, he's going to have to climb his way back up to another title fight. The loss for Usman, on the other hand, leaves him with a trilogy to have with Jorge Masvidal, or even a rematch to have with Colby Covington. There's a lot of fun to be had there, but it will be interesting to see how it plays out. And a win for Usman, I mean, it just puts more respect on his name, more respect to the reign he's had at welterweight champ. Another win makes it that much more impressive. And the only thing that would be left for him to do would probably be rematch Colby Covington, if not fight Vicente Luque, who just knocked out Tyron Woodley, if we're trying to see some new blood in there. But honestly, hats off to Usman for taking Jorge Masvidal on again, just because he not only did he win the first time, but he wants to win with dominance. That's what makes champions great, is that they didn't only skate by, they didn't only just barely get by, is that they wanted to win with dominance. So my decision for this main event, overall, I'm going to see this going to a 5-round decision victory for the current champ, Kamaru Usman. Now, it would be fun to see Masvidal win, and it would be a great piece to his story, but I just don't see the improvements being made, and him being out of the ring for so long makes it seem like he's going to have a tougher challenge to climb this time. Although maybe his camp went really well and he's very conditioned and he's able to catch Usman with that shot that just puts him on notice and leads to him crumbling in the middle of the fight. But with Usman's improved striking and his ability to control people against the cage and on the ground, it just seems like he's going to give Jorge Masvidal even more problems after having that experience with him in the first fight. Kamaru Usman's coach, Trevor Whitman, seems like a genius in the game, and I'm sure he's going to be able to see those adjustments that Kamaru needs to make in order to be successful this time around. And speaking of Trevor Whitman, he's not only going to be busy with Kamaru Usman that night, he's also going to be busy coaching Rose Namajunas against her bout with Weili Zhang. So, Zhang Weili versus Rose Namajunas for the women's strawweight title. So it's looking like Rose is finally going to get her shot to regain her title since losing it to Jessica Andrade after being dropped on her head after dominating the entire fight. So since then, Rose Namajunas has avenged her loss to Jessica Andrade and now is looking to get her title back. So Rose Namajunas versus Zhang Weili is simply put going to be a battle of efficiency. Who could be the most efficient striker? Who is going to have the gas tank to go the distance? Who is going to make the most out of their exchanges? So both these two ladies have had absolute wars with Joanna Jędrzejczyk, and they have gone the distance time and time again. And every time they fight, they bring the heat. Both of these ladies have proved that they can take a shot and still keep coming, still be there in the late rounds, the championship rounds. And we're going to see that all out on display, so that Rose is going to try her best to get her title back. And Zhang is going to do whatever it takes to leave Jacksonville with that title in her waist too. In Rose's last outing against Jessica Andrade, we saw her look as composed, deadly, and as precise as ever. And in Weili's last outing against Joanna, we saw her do whatever it took to keep that title around her waist. We saw her engage, we saw her take a shot, we saw her being able to do damage in a quick amount of time, and we saw her to be able to go the distance. Even when Joanna wasn't going away, she stayed determined. She didn't get lazy, she didn't get too lackadaisical. She stayed focused on what the target was. And honestly, I don't know where Rose is going with better dead than red kind of thing, but I'm sure that kind of just put a little bit more gas on the flames here. But I feel like if Weili can have a lot of success in the early rounds and get off to a strong start, then Rose is going to have to spend the majority of the fight playing catch up. And I don't see her being able to catch up with the efficiency that Zhang brings to the table. Therefore, I see Weili taking the decision victory and defending her title. All right, and wrapping up with the women's flyweight division with the championship on the line with Valentina Shevchenko versus Jessica Andrade. I really don't have much to say about this fight. This fight, to me, is very one-sided. I mean that in the most respectful way possible, but if there's an upset that's going to happen, it's probably going to be the upset of UFC fights for the year. It's going to be this one if Jessica Andrade can pull it out. And to no fault of her own, the bullet Valentina Shevchenko is looking as deadly as ever. She's coming over a 5-round decision victory, and before that, she TKO'd her last opponent. And this fight is looking similar to a lot of Shevchenko's other matchups. You know, a strong, good competitor with a lot of good skills and impressive finishes, but it's just hard to replicate the intensity and precision that Valentina Shevchenko brings. It's hard to replicate that in camp. Shevchenko is just on another level. And like I said, Andrade is a tough competitor, and as she had a brief hold of the title after she dropped Rose Namajunas on her head. But to fight someone like Valentina Shevchenko, you have to have a picture-perfect performance, and if you don't, and you leave yourself vulnerable, Valentina Shevchenko is an assassin, and she's going to catch you. She's going to get you with something that you didn't see coming. You have to have almost like a flawless performance to even have a chance to beat her. So that being said, I'm seeing this as a second round TKO victory for Valentina the Bullet Shevchenko, and I am hoping for a trilogy with Amanda Nunes against Valentina Shevchenko, and everything would be great in life. Maybe kind of, sort of. That being said, guys, let me know who you got picked. I hope you get to enjoy the fights, and I definitely hope you get to watch that Mortal Kombat movie coming out this weekend. Be sure to follow my friends who are making some great content. I left all their links and information down below. And remember, share this video for your chance to win $25 in Amazon gift card money, as well as give me a follow on Twitter to double your chances. So here's my Twitter contact information. Other than that, guys, stay safe, stay blessed. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.